Is it more likely to have a Nashville corn yield in 2026 above 200 bushel per acre or below 160? Take a look here at the average U.S. corn yield going back to 1988, and a couple things jump out here. One, at 180 plus bushel per acre, we had a really big corn yield last year, but of course, it was pretty close to that trend line here. The trend line's been increasing at about 2.1 bushel per acre per year. And one of the things that happens here is it makes a yield like 2012, which was recorded at about 120 bushel per acre, seem like we have a lot of downside potential. But of course, there's more than a decade worth of increasing yields over time. Similarly, a yield like 2004, which was a long ways above the trend line, loses some of its context over time. So what we did in our recent articles, we've asked that question, which is more likely, above 200 or below 160? And we took the trend line starting point and we measured how far above or below the trend line each year was. And then we could take that departure, add it to the 2026 trend line yield of 187 as a starting point, and we can get this range put together. So 2012, if we have a 2012 repeat in the weather and we have today's technology, it'd come in about 152 bushel per acre. 1988 would come in around 163. 1993 would be around 169. So there's 1 year below 160 and 3 years below 170 bushel per acre. This, you know, 18 bushel or worse departure from trend line. These are these really bad corn yields that a lot of us think about and a lot of us remember. Now, on the other hand, let's look at these 4 years where we had really big deviations to the upside. So these are the double digit increases. So we had a 12 bushel increase in 2009, 92 was 14 bushels, 94 was 17 bushels, 2004 was 18 bushels. All these are in this 200 neighborhood or slightly above or right in this neighborhood. Now, a key part of this is a trend line starting point of 187 bushel per acre. This type of content always gets a lot of responses and from viewers and readers, and that's always great. And I think there's a lot of questions about what's an appropriate trend line starting point here. And the idea here isn't to argue that it's more likely to be above 200 than under 160. The idea here is twofold. One, make sure we think about a wide range of yield outcomes. Don't only focus on those yield outcomes that are equal to or lower than last year's. The second point here is use a lot of caution if you see yield projections or yield estimates that start to put us well below 160 or well below 170. Kind of hit the brakes on those. There's not that many deviations from the trend line that are 10 bushels or more below the trend line. So just keep this range of ideas in mind as you think about 2026 and your own expectations.